Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Now in this video, we're going to be going over all of the engine components going inside of my 1000 plus wheel horsepower 4.6 liter 2-valve motor. I want to make this video so you guys know exactly what's going on, and also if you guys wanted to build your own 1000 plus wheel horsepower or high horsepower 2-valve, you guys know what parts to get, what to expect, and kind of the outcome after the entire engine build. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. It does help out, and also make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications so you guys staying up to date with this build. And also follow me over on Instagram. That link's gonna be at the top of the description. I always update you guys over there and let you guys know what's going on in my daily life as well. So let's go ahead and pop this hood, explain what we have going on right now, and also what's gonna be going on in the near future. My engine bay is completely dirty right now. I actually don't have any fender liners. This is gonna be completely cleaned out and detailed, so don't go too crazy on me. But as you guys can see here, we have a 100% stock, sealed, unopened, untouched 4.6 liter 2-valve engine. This engine has almost 100,000 miles on it, and it has a Vortech V1 supercharger attached. It's pulleyed down with a 3.12 inch pulley, making, I'd say, around 12 pounds of boost, putting out mid 400 wheel horsepower. This same engine put out 450 wheel and 450 torque with a 2.87 and a CX Racing intercooler. It now has a Treadstone intercooler with the 3.12 pulley. I actually am going to be pulling back down to the 2.87, so it should be right around or a little under the 500 wheel horsepower mark. Now again, everything is stock, nothing's been touched. Stock motor, stock head, stock cams. It has the stock transmission, stock rear end. Nothing has been touched. Now, what we are going to be doing is we're going to be putting in a 4.6 liter 2-valve. That's going to be an aluminum block. This is an iron block that's in the car right now. We're going to be switching that to an aluminum block, and we are going to be sleeving that engine. That's something that I actually was not going to originally do, but at the same time, I feel like it's probably better to do it right now. Just get it out the way, sleeve the block so we don't have to go ahead and touch it again, because this is something that honestly, I feel that you should just do it once, cry once, and not have to touch it again. Would I go ahead and rebuild another 4.6 liter 2-valve? Depends on if you want to put in the time and effort. These things take a lot of time. Parts take a while to get. I am currently over now 4 months waiting on parts, and I'm only waiting on one more part, so kind of let that, you know, sink in on how long things take to get parts, which 4 months realistically is not that bad. But we're gonna go ahead and have a sleeved 4.6 liter, still a 2-valve aluminum block going into this car. Also, we're gonna be using some Manly rods. We're also gonna be using some diamond pistons. We're gonna be using a Kellogg crank, and we are going to be having some custom grind camshafts with some ported trick flow heads. Now the compression of the new engine is going to be around 9.5 compression, and it will be ran only on E85. I only like to run my cars on E85 if I can. Now obviously, you guys are OGs of the channel, you guys know I have a turbo FRS as well. That car was only on E85. As soon as the fuel system goes in this car, the new motor setup goes in this car, this is going to be strictly an E85 car. It's just going to run better, and I'm able to push more horsepower, so it's definitely a good option. Now the reason we're doing a 9.5 compression on the new engine, and it's not like a 10.5 or 11 potentially, is because I wanted to be able to switch directions if I wanted to. Running a 9.5 compression with a centrifugal supercharger as well as a turbo is a good option. You can run a lot of boost, you could be safe on E85, you don't have to really worry about anything. Now if I ever want to go ahead and switch power adders and go with a turbo, I could, and the setup is going to work perfectly fine. And that's exactly what I was kind of thinking when doing this build, because I don't know if I want to stay with centrifugal supercharger. I'm gonna try it out for, I'd say I'll give it, a season, test it out. If I like it, which I probably will, I'm gonna stay with the centrifugal. If I don't, I can always go with the turbo. Now I do plan on actually upgrading this head unit to either a Vortech YSI head unit or completely switch over to Procharger and put on an F1A94. It depends on what I'm deciding to do. Obviously with the Procharger route, I'm just gonna go ahead and get a brand new kit, freshen everything up so we have a brand new motor, brand new power adder, and everything straight. But I haven't decided on that yet. Still thinking about the YSI. Also, we have the turbo route on the line as well, but I think the centrifugal supercharger is gonna be what we're gonna be doing off the bat when the motor is done, because that's what we have already in the car. Now you guys may be wondering also, as far as the drivetrain, what we're gonna be doing with the transmission, because obviously pushing 1,000+ wheel horsepower, or realistically anything over, like I'd say 650 on the stock TR 3650 5-speed that's in the car right now. Remember, everything up on this car right now is stock. We're gonna be swapping that out with a T56 transmission. Now, that's gonna be, in my personal opinion, the best transmission for what I'm personally trying to do with this car. I could have went with the built 3650 to save some money, but at the same time, again, turbo route, high horsepower, it's just easier, and I feel like the car will drive a lot better just going ahead and having the T56 in this car instead of having the 3650. So we're definitely gonna go ahead and make that swap, because it's just gonna be easier and it's gonna make a lot more sense. Now obviously for the rear end, that's gonna have to be built up as well, even though I'm kind of building this to be like a street car, air quotes around street car. I don't want it to be only a track car, because I personally like driving this car. It's a very fun car to drive. You know, it's one of my favorite cars that I've ever owned, because it sounds good, and you know, the power delivery is how I like it. So I don't want to kind of destroy that streetability, but at the same time, we are gonna have to upgrade the rear end. Right now, I don't really have an idea on what I'm gonna be doing with axles and stuff like that. I'm kind of working my way towards that area once, you know, everything is done, kind of tackling, you know, things one at a time here. But what I have right now is a Mickey Thompson ET Street SS tire on here. This is a 275/60/15. I have a Weld S71 15x10 6.5 inch back spacing, and these are clearing. Now I did go ahead and take a look at the fenders. My fenders are actually rolled slightly, so that's kind of why I have a little bit of extra clearance back here. So at first I didn't think they were rolled, but once I got out of the car and really looked, I did confirm that the fenders are rolled slightly, so that definitely does help out with clearance. I think the car has a pretty good stance to it. It hooks up well. I have no traction problems at all, like literally no traction problems at all. 40 rolls up, even like at dead stop, sometimes it spins, but once you get heat into these SS tires, especially the 28-inch talls, they hook and book. So I recommend these tenfold. I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and switch over to the SS's, but go down to a 26 tall tire when this whole motor engine build is done, so I can go ahead and see how that actually feels. But that's gonna be kind of the components we have in the rear end of the car. But that's kind of what we're working with, what I'm throwing into this car as far as the motor wise. Again, it's going to be an aluminum 4.6 liter 2-valve sleeved, manly rods, diamond pistons. It's going to be an Eagle crank, custom grind, blower cams, as well as ported trick flow heads. Now, I'm also going to be giving you guys some advice on what you guys can do if you are not trying to go ahead and push 1,000+ wheel horsepower. Do you need trick flow heads, specifically ported trick flow heads, to go ahead and support that number? No, you don't. If you want to push around, I'd say 600 to 650, you don't really need touched heads at all. If you have the PI cam, or the PI heads, excuse me, you can get the job done with some PI heads and boost. Just turn the boost up, valve spring, and you're good to go. You don't even need cams. You can stay stock heads, stock cams with valve springs and boost, and you can hit that number very easily if you have a fuel system with E85. Now, as far as the fuel system goes, we are going to be running a triple pump fuel system. We're going to be running some Walbro pumps all the way in the back, 3 pumps as well. We're going to be running some ID 1050X injectors. Am I gonna go ahead and jump from 450 to 1,000 off rip? No, we're not gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna take the car baby steps, pulley it down as according to how, you know, I get used to the car, so we can kind of make adjustments as we go there. That's kind of something I'm also kind of being very, very adamant on with this build, is taking things in baby steps and not getting ahead of myself, because I know darn well that I definitely could not, you know, handle going from 450 to 1,000. We're gonna go from 450 to 650 850, and then 1,000. We're gonna take it, you know, baby steps, so we're not getting too crazy. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much what I'm gonna be doing with the car. Obviously, we're gonna go ahead and redo all the fuel lines and stuff here as well, so all that will be good to go. As far as intake goes, my engine builder believes you can do it with the stock intake. I don't know about that. I haven't really thought about the intake. This is a stock intake as well. Could do like an Edelbrock Vic Jr. intake on here, but time will tell. Stock intake for 650 will be good, but as we move on, baby steps, we'll go ahead and upgrade that. So that's kind of what I'm kind of working with right now. The main thing that we're trying to get done is just finish the short block, which literally we're just waiting on one part. We're just waiting on the crankshaft, dropping it in, dropping in the fuel system with the transmission, and then turning up the boost and seeing what this baby can make with the stock heads, stock cams. And then once I get used to it at 650, we're gonna throw in the trick flow heads and the custom grind cams when the heads get here, because that's also something that, you know, takes some time to get. Crank the heads, but I'm not really too worried about the heads getting here right now. Once all those arrive, we'll go ahead and slightly turn the boost up, get used to it around 850, and then that 1,000 plus wheel horsepower mark with a different blower, obviously, and potentially a turbo. So that's going to be the build. It's going to be a pretty comprehensive build. A lot of things are going to have to happen. A lot of things are going to have to be torn down. Literally, this whole car is going to have a completely different powertrain and drivetrain. Still a 2-valve, but everything ran through, different transmission, beefed up rear end, and overall just a different style of build, because you don't really see 2-valves being built right now. I do know why people don't really build 2-valves anymore. It's just the time and how hard it is to get parts. Now, I will say this. If you guys are thinking about building a 2-valve or going with a Coyote swap, it's going to be dependent on how much time you want to invest into the car. Not even really the money-wise, how much time you want to invest in the car. Now, all said and done, I could have went ahead and did the Coyote swap, boosted the Coyote swap, and made, let's say, 850 wheel on the lower end just to be safe. Or you can do what I'm doing and building up, you know, the 2-valve. If you're doing all this yourself and you have access to get, you know, and the money to get a crate motor, Coyote, you can go ahead and get this thrown in and, you know, make some decent power. But again, building a 2-valve takes time because parts not really available, and overall it's just going to be a more, I'd say, in-depth process, just because, you know, you have to essentially tear down everything that is going on in the car stock motor wise. But it is nice to say that you have a fully built 2-valve that puts out some pretty decent numbers. So hope you guys do enjoy. I kind of want to explain everything that's going on, the whole plan, and what we're doing here with the car. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on those post notifications. Catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.